Will the Minister of Health and Wellness say why COVID-19 restrictions have not been lifted for those citizens who are fully vaccinated? This is one of the three questions Leader of the Opposition Moses Shine Barrow will pose inside the National Assembly on Friday.
Why not these people that are fully vaccinated, they can enjoy the mass gatherings, they can enjoy concerts, sporting events, etc. Because that way you can manage the population in a way that will contain the spread of COVID.
It is a position that the Minister of Health and Wellness, appearing on a segment of Open Your Eyes, says his ministry is considering.
We're also looking to see, Marlene, how we can ease up, how we can allow people who have been fully vaccinated some other measures of freedom, so to speak, that those who have not yet been vaccinated would not be allowed to enjoy.
1 month ago, the Center for Disease Control in the United States issued guidelines for fully vaccinated people. One of the key points the CDC made is that fully vaccinated people can, quote, resume activities without wearing masks or physically distancing, end quote. This includes indoor activities like indoor gatherings with people from multiple households, full capacity worship services, and crowded outdoor events. We turn to Dr. Fernando Cuellar at the Belize Medical Associates for his thoughts on the question of whether fully vaccinated persons should be afforded additional liberties in our country as well.
That's a very interesting question, and I'm sure it will lend to a lot of debate and back and forth, no? But generally, I would say yes. I would say that vaccinated persons should be given that extra privilege to be able to do or to attend the different activities you mentioned, sporting events, for example. No? However, it should also be taken in the context of what's going on. Like, for example, right now we see the numbers not going in the direction we want, and we would have to react to those. No? Everything is fluid, and I think persons will have to understand that as things happen, so will the different guidelines come out. No? I would think that the vaccinations and the more liberties would be kind of even an incentive for people to be vaccinated. You know, we see the poor uptake, we see the whole the vaccination not going as well as we would want it to. And indeed, at the end of the day, the vaccination is our way out back to normalcy. So it should be considered an incentive for, hey, if you're vaccinated, then you have more liberties. So go to the restaurants and the different smaller gatherings as long as the country permits it. No.
We also posed this question to an event planner and promoter, production manager at Rummage's Mass, Demi Williams.
From event planning perspective, it's definitely encouraged to incentivize persons with telling them that once they've been fully vaccinated, they can return to some sense of normalcy, which is kind of the whole point of why we have a vaccine to begin with, so that we could get back to our regular way of life. The entire world has been devastated by COVID, not just from a health perspective, but how many economies didn't crash, you know? And the entertainment industry accounted for billions of dollars worldwide. And those billions basically never exist last year, especially here in Belize, where we have such an intricate promotional community with DJs, promoters, venues, all of them losing out. And of course, the people that we cater to, our patrons, not having that entertainment, that nightlife, or just any form of release from everyday stress. So we've been in this pandemic for over a year now, and that burnout, of course, has now hit. And people lose up to 1.5 years of their lives, and they're tired of being home. So naturally, getting vaccinated would be the better alternative to, you know, get you back from a certain way of life.
News 5 social media followers were asked the same question, and the response we received varied. There are those who do not believe fully vaccinated persons should be given added liberties, while many others are of the opinion that greater freedoms should be afforded to the fully vaccinated. One of the most popular comments also suggested it may serve as an incentive. And as the conversation continues into Friday's House meeting, vaccination cards may soon become our new identification cards to enter business establishments and public functions.
If I'm an establishment and I want to allow for gatherings that are not in keeping with the protocol to protect against the spread of COVID, then I must find the funds to hire a person from the Ministry of Health who has a ledger of all of the people who are vaccinated. That is easy to do, and so you cannot enter my establishment to enjoy live music.
In order to determine if somebody's fully vaccinated, those vaccination cards would have to be like your identification cards. I noticed the size of ours, it's kind of big. Yeah, it's big, which I personally think was a little bit unnecessary, and saving the trees is always a thing. It could have been more shaped like an identification card, kind of like what the ones in the States look like, the little CDC cards that you get. And that makes it easier to transport, you know, so maybe that's a tip the ministry could look into.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.